So something a little bit different today. I'm going to try and drive the Port Phillip Trail around the top end of Tantangra Dam, just for an explore. And may fish a bit or may give fishing a break. So woke up in the clouds today, but I've headed up to Sawyer's Hill, 1,480 meters, and this is the view. And that's the view down to the Snowy Highway Bridge over the Yukonbean River, all in cloud. So here's some modern working for you, the remote worker. Just dialed into that Deloitte conference call, and now off to explore.
Book on reading the water and finding trout, not just reading the water, but finding trout in all seasons.
That's always a good subject, a great subject.
That's one I know. That's one I know better than anything else I know. So
Yep.
It's been rolling around in my head for about 4 or 5 years now, and I've finally gotten to.
So that's where I'm aiming to go. Murrumbidgee upstream, and the Murrumbidgee downstream.
You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming?
All the time.
You ever have that feeling all the time.
It's the hiking trail to Mosquito Creek. And there's a lock gate down over there, and a little toilet facility there. And that's the road I'm continuing on. This is actually a public service announcement. So this is the Port Phillip Fire Trail, and I have actually been here once before. I fished Perkins Flat with Spencer and Lachlan, and we then went to Blue Water Holes, and there was a massive rainstorm. Actually, the ranger came into Perkins Flat and warned us that there was going to be a big dumping of rain. This was back in January this year, and it's very, very kind of him to do that. So we hot-footed it out. By the way, he did say it was a good job to get the beamer in with towing Dr. Phil. So in any case, we decided, Lachlan and I decided, and Spencer, we decided we were going to go and explore this Port Phillip Fire Trail. We got up to the top of the hill, which is just behind us, and then started cruising down, and I noticed that the road surface had changed from gravelly on the far side by the Murrumbidgee River to this side. It was more sort of like reddish, and this particular hill, which I'll show you in a second, I could start to feel the caravan start to push the back of the car, and I could feel us going a little bit sideways. Now the only reason that I mention this is in my earlier video in the Gloucester region, where I got the BMW bogged, one of the sections that I didn't talk much about was when the NRMA came and pulled me out. There was a sort of an experienced 4x4er that actually drove the BMW at the time, and all he was concerned about was whether he was able to push the red arc brake controller and whether that would lock up the wheels of the caravan. And initially, he was not comfortable that it was locking up, and that's because I had the setting on 2. And the minute he ratcheted the setting up to 6, then he felt he could push the brake controller and it would stop the trailer. And I've driven around, I don't know, 30,000 Ks, 20,000 Ks towing Dr. Phil with the BMW set on 2, because it's a very, very powerful BMW, but it's a sport one. So it's got these huge disc brakes, front and rear. And I always felt very, very safe on tarred roads and on the dirt roads I've been on, that if I hit the brakes, that it would stop the caravan. But what I didn't realize was the brake controller, what it actually deals with is the situation that I had on this particular hill, where if I'd got out of sorts and I was slowing the beamer, but the caravan continued to push and to come around, if I hadn't hit that brake controller, I would have been at risk of jackknifing. I was definitely at risk of jackknifing and causing a horrible accident coming down this particular hill. So I'll just show you that hill, and if I haven't explained what a brake controller does, then please research it, because I didn't understand. I've towed Dr. Phil for 7 years and I didn't really understand what the brake controller does until this gentleman from the NRMA explained it to me. So it's something that you hope you never have to hit in your life, but pushing in that button could save you from jackknifing your rig. So I'll just show you the hill. So up there it's all fairly benign, and then basically this hill, both Lachlan and I were slipping and sliding our way down this hill. He reckons he got his combi almost sideways, and as I said, I could feel the caravan starting to shimmy, but I was able to accelerate out of it and get it back in line. Thank God. So by the time Lachlan and I had come down to this particular point, we were both pretty shaken. And I realized that actually this particular field here, that I would be able to do a UE. And it's actually quite flat land. And I just remember just saying to Lachlan, right, get out of my way, I'm going to do a UE. And I just gunned it through this field. And then we headed back up. And I didn't think I was going to make it back up. But actually, the car had perfect traction, and the combi had perfect traction going back up. But I'll just show you where, not that it's really that interesting, but I'll just show you where I did the UE. Yeah, so I just basically did this big U-turn there, and popped out there, and then back up the hill with our tail between our legs. Right, so here's Port Phillip Trail. Causeway is open. And then there's another trail heading off this way called the Dam Track. And Currango, the homestead, 4.5 Ks down that way, left. So this is the actual causeway. In terms of the map, I'm actually already in Tantangra Dam, but because the dam is so low, all we've got is this river. So that's downstream towards Tantangra Dam. There's the car, and here is upstream. And this is, I believe it's Mosquito Creek. It's either Mosquito Creek or it's Garambla Creek. Make of that what you will.
He wrapped his arms around her and her love fell out for him like some old forgotten song. She softened to his blows and all the lines they fell away, and she sang like she had never sung. For
What an oasis of calm and zen in the middle of Kosciuszko National Park. Absolutely stunning. So I'm going to wander over and find out what's the go. So here's the homestead, and it's private for guests only. I've spoken to the caretaker, so I'm not actually allowed to go inside. So I can't show you the inside of the property, but from the outside it looks stunning. Here's a beautiful old picket fence, and I suppose you would call it a bush garden. Aussie natives. There's the grain store, stables, and what they called the buggy shed. Very cool. Lots of little birds fluttering around. Oh my god, what a stunning place. This is called the men's hut. There's a fire going, just a beautiful smell of wood in the air. I can see over there they've got 2 e-bikes, which they're charging actually from the combi. That'd be the way to explore. And I see there's a men's and ladies' toilets there, outdoor sink. Wow, this is pretty special. Clearly no problem getting regular cars here. I don't even know why I was stressing about bringing the Beamer here. What's this? This is a Toyota RAV? Yeah, Toyota RAV4. Wow. Must have been hardy people to live and work and thrive and survive in this area. Fantastic. Yeah. All this old tut here in the storage shed. I'm sure that these old wood burning stoves, heaters, I'm sure they've got a story to tell. Wow. Incredible. All fir trees in the middle of Kosciuszko National Park, up in the snowies. Snow gum over there, fir tree over there. How about that? It's almost like a Christmas tree there. Just quite a place. Look at that. The car's parked down over there. I call them fir trees, but I suspect they're actually pine trees. I can smell all the pine needles. See all the pine needles on the floor, and smell all the pine needles, and see the pine cones. So that's on me.